And it is 2:05 where Nevada comes to talk to you, and we roll on here. We are pleased to be joined by Ely Mayor Nathan Robertson and also a White Pine County District Attorney Mike Wheable. And so happy to have you all here with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Wyatt.
It's always a pleasure. And let's touch on. Do we have updates from yesterday, from the time we spoke yesterday about this time?
Well, I'm trying to remember what we spoke about yesterday at this time.
I know I have problems remembering what I said this morning or had for breakfast.
I believe we talked about we did talk about the county health officer's order, did we not?
I don't think he had quite.
I don't think we had yet.
We hadn't
right.
yet, but yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. Dr. Byen did send a additional instruction out. And these are binding ordinances for the county. The one that we need to spend most time talking about today probably is the order to stay 6 feet away from other individuals in public places. That's probably a big one.
Okay.
He also encouraged people to comply with the governor's initiative from the day before, which is something we did discuss.
So we actually have it in writing now that this is what people should do, and people should basically go with the governor's orders. And I know that there are some places that are saying they're open, they're abiding by this, and we talked about this yesterday, and you brought it up, and I still think it's 14,000 vehicles a day. None of these people any of these people could be exposed.
Yeah.
And it's a I'm not quite sure how to phrase this question, but I think you realize maybe where I'm going with this. What kind of liability could businesses possibly deal with on this?
Well, that's a very legal question.
Well, that's why you got the district attorney here, who might be able to get, if...
the only legal requirement we have, or the major legal requirement we have at the moment, and I'll let Mike jump in here, is the 6 foot public distance, social distancing that is being enforced at the moment.
And what happens if you go into a crowded bar and it's very busy in there and there's no way for people to be 6 feet apart? What do you do with that? Go ahead, Mike.
So there's two types of liability that we're interested in, and the one I'm mostly concerned with is criminal liability. See, there shouldn't be anybody walking into a crowded bar in White Pine County after yesterday afternoon's mandate of the order by Dr. Byen, which specifies that in any open business, individuals, whether it be patrons or people who are running the business, employees, all must maintain a 6 foot distance from each other. At all times. Now, that doesn't mean they can't exchange cash or card or payment or services. I mean, those are the necessary things that go along with running these essential businesses and if any other businesses that are choosing to remain open.
I mean, that's one of the things. None of these places who exchange cash, there is not a 6 foot distance between the cash register, not the cash register, but the clerk and the patron.
That's correct. So what you want to do is apply these laws reasonably, and limit the exposure, limit the amount of time you're interacting with individuals, hand over your payment, pick up your goods, and maintain the 6 feet of separation between your body and your person to the other person. The other kind of liability, which I think you were first asking about, is what kind of civil liability businesses may face. I can't give any legal advice to any businesses about what they may or may not face for civil liability. I would be concerned if I were a business owner and were holding operations contrary to the governor's declaration and one of my employees maybe test positive for the COVID-19, and that could be traced back to the source of contagion to other patrons in my business. So that's exactly why the governor has asked us to follow his recommendations and stay at home. So Dr. Byen's order is what we're enforcing in the county today, and that's what we're enforcing until we receive further instruction from the state or from Dr. Byen to maintain the 6 feet of separation.
Do you think that this is something that, we're looking at this as a reasonably short-term situation. And I'm not by short-term, I'm meaning, we're not talking about years, we're not talking about months, we're talking about a matter of weeks. Even
at the moment, it is just the 30 days that we're considering at the moment. But it could be lengthened, it could be shortened. We just don't know what the situation is going to be going forward. It's kind of a day-to-day thing that we've got to take. The situation right now, though, is that we're encouraging compliance with the governor, and we're enforcing Dr. Behan's orders. So
I don't know if you heard Mayor Carolyn Goodman down in Las Vegas, who just ripped on the governor.
I did hear some of that.
And just curious if you have a reaction to that.
Well, and it's hard to armchair quarterback somebody else making decisions for their city, but in this time, it's really something we need to look at enforcing or encouraging, people to comply and give ear to what our leaders are saying. The governor is the supreme executive of our state, and we need to give him our support. We need to give the president our support. We need to give our local leaders and professionals that have been put in positions to counsel us our support. Nobody has any ulterior motives here on this. This is what we're looking at, our people's health and safety.
There are people out there who are discussing legal actions against the governor. Have you heard about any of this? And do you think, and I know I'm asking some off-the-cuff stuff, do you think that there is a possibility that these legal actions might make it to court when courts reopen?
I haven't heard any legal actions against the governor for his initiatives, because that's exactly how he rolled them out, were initiatives. Even if they were executive orders and a mandate that will have the force of law, which would carry criminal penalties, like Dr. Behan's order does carry a penalty of a misdemeanor. To carry an action against the executive of the state of Nevada acting in a time of emergency, I don't see any merit to that would actually hold in court, even though businesses are going to suffer economic loss because of those declarations. I think he's going to have immunity acting within his scope of the governor.
White Pine County District Attorney Mike Wheable, Ely Mayor Nathan Robertson talking with us here on the Nevada Talk Network. Gentlemen, what has been the reaction to people that you've spoken with? Because I know you've been talking to a lot of people. Do people in the county basically support these actions? Do people basically in the county believe we need to take care of our populace, or are they more concerned about their pocketbooks right now?
It's hard not to be concerned about your pocketbook. It really is. I mean, this is far-reaching, but by and large, and I can't think of an instance contrary to this as I'm scratching my memory for the past few days, most people are concerned about our at-risk citizens, about the health and safety of their families, about they're willing and anxious to comply with the best practices that the CDC are putting out. Everybody's making a good faith effort. There will always be those who choose to do otherwise, or those who feel differently about things, and that's why we live where we live. This is the freedoms these kind of people enjoy. But I've been really heartened at seeing the community come together and be anxious to do the right thing.
And we have such a significantly large elder population.
We do.
That, and I think people don't realize that, we haven't seen a single infection in White Pine County yet. And as you mentioned yesterday, the large number of transient population, not transient, but transient traffic that Ely sees, it's always potential that somebody somewhere could be a convenience store clerk,
sure,
could be a grocery store clerk, could come in contact with somebody, catch, be infected, and then that could pass through the population very quickly.
Well, and as you bring that up, we need to remember that just because they haven't been able to report any case does not mean that there aren't people who are already suffering from this in our community. There very, very, very well may be. And these measures are meant to, control the spread as quickly as we, or as effectively as we can. when you see that number that there are so many states reported in the state, or so many cases reported in the state, that doesn't mean that that's all there is. That's all that's just been reported
That's
or
simply
confirmed.
exactly
Yeah.
reported versus all of that. Gentlemen, I have to say that by and large the community is supporting this. There are people who don't, and to those people, we do what we can do for our elder population. And we have had reports now from other parts of the country of younger people actually being, who did not have underlying medical conditions. We've had a few that have been seriously affected by this, and it may have just been those people didn't. So this is a matter where we have to take care of our citizenry and our population.
And there's just to remember, there's a lot of things we don't know, but what we do know is what we've been asked to do by the people in our state and the professionals in our community, and our best course of action is to abide by those recommendations and orders.
And thank goodness, as if you may have heard the president this morning saying that we may actually have some treatments that are already approved for other diseases that are showing promise.
Well, and the country is mobilized to an incredible level on this. I mean, there are people at the state and federal level working on this night and day, and it's I'm sure things will come of that work. But as of the moment right now, we're where we're at, and we're going to do what we can do.
We're going to do it all from a legal perspective. Mike, where do we stand as far as businesses? I mean, I know you're primarily a criminal attorney these days, but where do we stand right now? Are you seeing any possible problems in that regard to this point?
You mean with compliance with Dr. Bion's order? We'll see. I think, from what I'm hearing, most businesses understand the order that's issued. There are a lot of businesses and restaurants and bars right now that are following the governor's order and providing his initiative and providing takeout service only, where they call in, they pay for the order, and then that meal is either delivered or picked up. No in-house dining. For the other restaurants and establishments that are open for business and have in-house dining, or bars that might remain open, they must comply with a 6 feet distancing between, like I said earlier, between their patrons. The sheriff's office will be out tonight and today and talking with our businesses and checking on compliance and issuing citations to the businesses and patrons for violating the 6 foot order. I'd like to encourage everyone to try to approach this as reasonably as possible. No one wants to be prosecuted or getting a ticket, but this regulation that's been put in place by Dr. Bion under county ordinance and under the Nevada Revised Statutes, Chapter 439, it's a misdemeanor just the same as parking in a handicap zone or serving alcohol to someone under the age of 21. I mean, you can choose not to follow it if you want, but there are going to be consequences for that. And these are just best practices, and Dr. Bion wanted to take small steps. He didn't want it. He could have ordered all businesses and restaurants shut down. He could have ordered shelter-in-place orders. He instead, I think, took a very reasonable approach and wanted to, in his order, tell White Pine County citizens to acquaint themselves with the governor's order. He wants people to listen to it, and he encourages compliance with that. But he's only going to issue incremental steps. And the first step he issued was stay 6 feet apart. Very basic.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, because we want to keep our economy going, but we also have to keep our community safe right now.
Exactly. Actions have consequences, and that's what we need to follow here. Ely Mayor Nathan Robertson, White Pine County District Attorney Mike Wheable, who I have dealt with for a few years, if you recall. Yes, we've had a wonderful relationship, and we thank you, gentlemen, for stopping by today. We will talk hopefully tomorrow about anything new that is developing. Mayor Robertson, I thank you for committing to spending some time with us every day here as we step through this situation.
Thanks for providing the voice.
And we always do, and Mike, hope we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, I'd like to come back and regularly answer questions. If anyone emails you or you pick up any questions from your listeners, I'd be happy to answer some of those. And, of course, try to get as much honest and truthful, accurate information so we can avoid the Facebook posts that seem to stir up our neighborhoods.
Well, we try not to do that here. We try to keep things reasonable, logical, and deal with things as they come.